Hello, I am Dong-Hoon Shin of Seoul National University, and I am very happy to present my work on Rakhigali site and summarize my team's achievement during the studies of the Rakhigali excavation. How can we know about the ancient people's biological aspects? There are two different ways: by histological approaches and by biomedical tools. And bioanthropology also reveals the life of ancient people by scientific techniques. Archaeological field is not only for the archaeologists' researches, and human remains discovered at the place can be collected by anthropologists and used for scientific investigation. Human remains can be studied in the labs. And many different kinds of the scientific techniques has been used for the analysis of human skeletons or mummified tissues. When the ancient skeletons were discovered at the archaeological sites, anthropologists always examined them and tried to know the diseases prevalent in the ancient people and society. This is the fracture that were discovered among the skeletons of the ancient people. Sometimes, anthropologists also did archaeoparasitological study on parasitological samples obtained from the ancient archaeological sites. In the samples, parasitologists always discovered many ancient parasite eggs. And the ancient DNA is also studied. These are the ancient parasite eggs discovered at the samples from archaeological site, and ancient DNA analysis was done using the specimen, and even the phylogenetic analysis could be done based on the result of the ancient DNA analysis. Stable isotope analysis of ancient samples could be the clues for the dietary pattern of the ancient people. A stable isotope analysis could be done using the human skeletons, and by this study we could know foods ancient individuals consumed and revealed the origin of proteins they ingested. Craniofacial reconstruction could be also available using the skeletons from archaeological site. We could see the face of the ancient people by this technique. Anthropologists can do anthropological examination, paleopathology, archaeoparasitology, ancient DNA analysis, stable isotope analysis, craniofacial reconstruction using the ancient specimens from archaeological sites. Using these techniques, we do studies on the skeletons from Rakhigali site. Now, we will talk about the Rakhigali site. Rakhigali site is located in this place. It is in the northwest part of the Indian subcontinent. This is the drone image of the Rakhigali site. We brought drone during our investigation in Rakhigali site. Archaeologist excavation has been done at the archaeological site. This image was taken by drone. Everyday work at the Lakhiari site has been recorded by the drone, like this. During excavation, archaeologists from India and South Korea collaborate each other. In the Lakhiari excavation site, we investigated the necropolis area. During the excavation, to minimize the contamination of the specimen, sterilized or disposable equipment was used by us. We always wore sterilized gloves, masks, and gowns while sampling. Like this, at the Lakhiari site. Drone was very useful in recording everyday work at the excavation site. All the process were recorded by the drone during the excavation. Many people worked at the necropolis area, and it was very difficult work. Everybody worked very hard, and we could get invaluable information from the site. Now I will talk about the achievement of the archaeological investigation on the skeletons from Lakhiari site. This is about the archaeological and anthropological studies on the Harappan cemetery of Lakhiari. This study was published in PLOS ONE. In this study, systematic analysis of Lakhiari cemetery was successfully achieved by close collaboration between archaeologists and anthropologists of India and South Korea. Although the general patterns of burial and mortuary practice at Lakhiari necropolis look similar to those of other Harappan cemeteries, there was also much concrete information acquired that is unique to present investigation. All in all, the current report provides a rare glimpse into the Harappan people's practices and rituals relating to burial of the dead. But more work remains to be done in the future. This is the distinct localities of Lakhiari excavation site we investigated. This is the map of excavation site at Lakhiari necropolis. These figures are for primary typical interment at Lakhiari cemetery. Primary atypical burial with brick-lined grave architecture was also discovered at the site. This is for the archaeological and anthropological details of the burials in Lakhiari cemetery we have investigated. We summarized this information and reported 2+1. Another work is also reported to anthropological science. We studied and assessed the physical and pathological traits of human skeletal remains from cemetery localities at the Lakhiari site of Harappan civilization. In the study, we tried to examine the physical and pathological traits of human skeletons from the cemetery at the site. In our study, cranial index was calculated. The mean statures were also estimated by long bone lengths. The dental health of the subjects appears to be good as the overall prevalence of oral pathologies was generally low. Periosteal reactions were found in tibials and possible evidence of osteomyelitis was also observed in a femur. Some joint spots showed signs of osteoarthritis. Although various pathologies have been identified, we could not find any specific lesions suggestive of leprosy and tuberculosis in these skeletons. However, though our study has added invaluable data to the existing information pool on health and disease status of Harappan society and people, more accurate conjecture on the structure of Harappan society based on bioarchaeological evidence will lead additional research based on future excavations at Lakhiari Cemetery. We also studied a young couple's grave found in the Lakhiari Cemetery. This study was reported to the journal Anatomy and Cell Biology. As we know, the Harappan civilization, one of the earliest complex societies in the world, flourished on the Indian subcontinent. Though many additional Harappan settlements and cemeteries have been discovered and investigated, no coupled burials at Harappan cemeteries has been reported. In this study, we excavated the cemetery of Lakhiari site, and at the site, we found a grave that turned out to be a coupled burial of the primary type. This report was the first anthropologically confirmed case of a coupled burial from Harappan cemetery. The best explanation for this case is that the two individuals died of unknown causes at exactly or nearly the same time and were then buried together. As joint burials are important for inferring historical family structures and the broader society they represent, more studies on Harappan graves of that type are requisite. We also studied traumatic injury in a cranium found at Lakhiari Cemetery. This report was published in Journal of Archaeological Science Reports. Our paleopathological report provides significant insight into interpersonal violence that might have occurred among the Harappan people and society. In the present study, evidence of violence-related injury was observed in the Lakhiari female's cranium. The discovery of cranial injuries in trenches suggests that interpersonal violence might not have been so rare in Lakhiari society. Our findings can provide significant insight into reality of structural violence in societies of the Harappan civilization. In order to determine definitely whether the Harappan people actually lived in a peaceful hierarchy or a violent hierarchy, we must investigate additional areas of Lakhiari Cemetery. Actually, in some ancient societies, the ancient people's faces have often been estimated by close examinations of portraits. This kind of the artistic tradition, however, was poorly developed in Harappan society. At best, anthropomorphic figurines made of terracotta have indicated the preferred style of costume and adornment. Therefore, there has yet been no successful data to unveil the Harappan people's facial appearance. In this regard, we note craniofacial reconstruction might be very useful. This study was published in Anatomical Science International, and for the outcomes, you can see the result in the Dr. Wonjun Lee's presentation in this session. Next, we will talk about the archaeoparasitology. Archaeoparasitology is a study to acquire data concerning the parasite infection of ancient people through the examination of the specimens obtained in the excavation sites. Although this kind of the research has achieved many successes worldwide, there has been very few noteworthy reports from South Asian countries. In this project, we thus conducted parasite examinations on Indian archaeological specimens collected at different excavation sites of major Harappan period and their contemporary rural Chalcolithic sites. The specimens were examined at the lab of Deccan College and Seoul National University. In the study, we found that the provinces where we conducted the archaeological sampling, Rajasthan, Gujarat, and Haryana, those sampling sites belong to the area of extremely low parasite infection rate. In summary, the archaeological sites of Harappan civilization belong to the areas where paleoparasitological study has not been properly performed so far. Since the modern parasite infection rate in Bihar, Tamil Nadu, Jammu and Kashmir, Assam, West Bengal, and Andhra Pradesh is higher than other states in India, future archaeoparasitological studies should be done more intensely on ancient specimens from those provinces. This study was also published in Ancient Asia. In this study, systematic analysis of Rakhigali cemetery was successfully achieved by close collaboration between archaeologists and anthropologists. Although the general pattern of burial and mortuary practice at Rakhigali necropolis looked similar to those of other Harappan cemeteries, there was also much concrete information acquired that is unique to the present investigation. All in all, the current report provides a rare glimpse into Harappan people's practices and rituals relating to burial of the dead. But more work remains to be done in the future. I hope to make a special thanks to and I am Doon Shin. Thank you.